Hello, everybody, and welcome to this video and segment from the Consulting Lab Inc. and our academy. My name is Fadi Jawdat Hindi. I'm the founder and the managing partner for the Consulting Lab. Welcome you to this segment. We're joined here with Dima Khatib, our executive director for TCLi Academy, and also a partner in the Americas. Welcome, Dima. I think people are heard enough about me. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you?
So I've had more than 30 years of experience in three main areas: HR, change management, and learning and development. I think very long time ago, I really decided that my passion is learning. My passion is everything about building skills, helping people develop, and so on. So throughout my career, I worked both consulting and just general industry. And I did a lot of work related to supporting organizations dealing with change, supporting organizations, individuals and organizations kind of accept the change and be trained and kind of go through that curve of hating it to loving it. But the area that I definitely do love is everything and anything about learning. So I worked for a long time in helping organizations focus on leadership development, improving the skills of their middle managers, supervisors, everything kind of along the lines of looking at both soft skills as well as some technical skills related to doing their work. That's why I'm really geeking out on the academy. This is it. Right. This is at the core of what I love.
Now, Dima and I have worked throughout our career on and off for the same organizations. So we started with Anderson Consulting. I started at Anderson Consulting. She was already there.
That shows us you our age. We're talking right. Anderson Consulting, Accenture.
That's right. And then later on internationally, and then now again in the States with the Consulting Lab. But it's interestingly, I remember distinctly your international post that was a big deal.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about it? I think that's kind of interesting. I think it'd be interesting for the listeners.
So I've worked for a Caterpillar dealership. We had, it was called Al Bahar, amazing company, really, really good group of people that I worked with. We were the dealership for Caterpillar for 5 countries: Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, Dubai, United Arab Emirates, and Oman. So I was head of HR.
Saudi was different?
Saudi was a separate dealership.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was head of HR, so VP of HR and Learning and Development. So technically we had business partners, HR business partners across the different countries. And I managed kind of the central HR
you didn't
strategy.
Have strategy at the time, did you? Because I remember I came in, I had a consultancy back then as well.
Right.
And I came in, but it was a different function.
Yes, it was a different function. I was working with the president and kind of CEO trying to support in strategy. So looking at scorecard, if you remember
at the time.
Balanced
scorecard, like Kaplan Norton Balanced Scorecard, Harvard Business School's system.
So it was an implementation that we were going through. And at the time, you kind of discussed the different options that we were looking at. But it wasn't a function that I was involved in. We did a lot of, so I was managing your basic HR, everything related to the HR, but we did a lot of competency development, leadership development, working with the within the organization, both from technicians and salespeople to managers, and focusing on the development there.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. Well, it's good to have you, and it's great to. By the way, I forgot to mention we're coming to you from our offices at the Junction at UNC Chapel Hill. It's the Innovate Carolinas initiative. They have an amazing facility here. We're decided to take advantage of the steps, like the auditorium style seating. And we've been here now for about 3-4 weeks probably. This is where our actual,
I love working here. It's amazing.
Beautiful place.
Walk away from home and work in an office.
Shout out to Cheryl Waddell. Shout out to Kimmy, to Patrick, to Emil, a lot of people that work here, and our community manager, Lutz, Julia Lutz. Yeah, shout out to her. I think she's on vacation right now for her honeymoon. So congratulations, by the way. So anyway, so coming back to the purpose of the conversation, or the purpose of the segment, is to talk about the TCLi Academy. You are aware that you may or may not be aware, if you're watching this video and you don't know, we've launched our academy on July 4th of this year, on Independence Day by design. And the idea was as TCLi, or the Consulting Lab Inc.'s mission as a startup is to disrupt the traditional consulting model. The way that we're going about it is to do the advisory bit. So we do everything. We say that we're the McKinsey of boutique consulting firms, but we also do implementation. And if you take a look at that traditional track, regardless of your competency, you're doing SAP implementations, you're doing Oracle, regardless of what it is that you do, it's a traditional advisory model where an assessment is done, a certain transformation plan is kind of come up with in a portfolio, and then you start executing, and then you transition and you roll off. There might be some support ongoing. The difference with the Consulting Lab is we bring in this component called Academy, which is a platform that is purely focused on transformation and educating people in a scaffolded model. So you start with, actually, we don't start with AI, even though our kind of obsession is to close the AI literacy gap. And we do this through, I teach at NC State, I teach at Schema, soon at UNC, where we're actually bringing in courses and from courses that take practical field battle-tested experience, converts that into content that actually gets delivered through modules, and then there's accreditation or certification. So by looking at that, we said, all right, let's build an academy that is a platform that we can bring the learnings and the teachings that we've had from the field over the past 35 years. I've been in the field in AI and digital transformation for 35 years. I'm an NC State alum. You guys know the background, hopefully. Was doing AI in 1989, when it was way before it was cool to do AI. And we want to bring all of this into everything that we do. So the way that we run the firm as a part of the disruption that we're talking about, we run the firm with AI. We have AI agents, we have AI bots, and don't worry, the partners are in charge of setting the direction for AI, as well as looking at the output and refining it based on our experience. However, our work product gets to customer much faster. Mm-hmm. So the time in our engagements, if we're doing in like a McKinsey-like assessment, for example, typically it still takes 4 to 6 weeks, just because of how much brain work goes into it. But instead of having an army of associates, now we use AI, and bots that help us do the deep research, help us collect information. So that's one side of our business that's disruptive. We're about 25 people as of today. But we look like a 200-person company when we're interacting with our large clients. The other disruptive part is the academy, and this is where we're saying we want clients, whether they're clients or not, you're more than welcome to join, even if you're a student. We're something that we're going to talk about here in a second. They would join the academy to learn in a scaffolded model. They start from understanding their relationship with AI. I know it sounds weird, but it's more about behaviors, the way that you do your work on a day-to-day basis. Mm-hmm. We're always so used to trying to do it ourselves, right, versus trying to leverage an AI or a large language model to see the knowledge that's been assimilated through that model, be able to look at it and say, all right, let me at least start from 50% or 70% instead of starting from 0%.
Right, exactly. This is something that has been an eye-opener for me over the past 6 months and less than a year, where I'm working on my own, and I'm trying to just kind of come up with these ideas of how am I going to go about presenting this information. Now you have almost an assistant that at any minute you can just go and say, you're delegating. Literally, you're delegating to ChatGPT. Yep. You're saying, I'm trying to produce this. These are my requirements. These are the items that I need to do. Go do it. They do it. They start. It gives you 25%, 50%, probably sometimes more percent.
I've named my ChatGPT. Her name is Navi. Actually, she named herself. Interesting story that I can tell you about later. She picked that name for herself. And yours is
Kaya. So my ChatGPT is Kaya.
Yep.
And we went through iterations of why Kaya and this and this and that. So I like the name.
Yeah.
So Kaya goes away, does her thing. And a lot of times it's literally as if you're dealing with an assistant or intern. And you give it the task and you go, you walk, you do lunch, you do something, come back and it's done.
And our The other person that geeked out over this, Ryan, our senior partner for operations, her assistant's name is Yuki.
Yuki. Oh,
Yuki, right?
yeah.
So we have Yuki, we have Navi, and we have Kaya.
Okay, so there's a trend here, the female
Well, I'll tell you the cool thing is that one of the things that I'm definitely going to do here within the next couple of weeks is try to get the 3 assistants together on a call with us just kind of watching, with popcorn. So
and let's see what they do together.
It'll be interesting.
But I wanna kind of tag on to something that you've said. Part of building the academy is that we started with the experience of dealing with clients, going through transformation and so on. As a consultant, when you leave the client site, you just kind of see that look on their face to say, I'm glad I'm not paying for consulting anymore. However, I'm now on my own, right? So the point of having the academy is a way to support in upskilling, helping middle managers, helping leaders kind of build their skills around a lot of the areas that we talk about that we introduced during a project, is how can they kind of continue that? Or, maybe even before they bring in consultant, update their skills, learn more about it. So when they're dealing with any external support, external vendor, they're much more educated. They know what to look for, they know what to ask for. And at the same time, bringing in that AI gap, right? Closing that AI gap is in terms of how can you use AI to support you in a lot of the implementations that you want to do.
Yeah. And when we envisioned this model to create disruption in, I get a 5-time startup founder now, and it's just in my blood now as an entrepreneur. 8-9 years into it, you got to disrupt. You got to be the odd man out, and you got to make it different. And you got to just kind of turn everything on its head. I guess you just kind of embedded and encoded in your DNA. So when we're looking at that platform to bring it as a part of approaching consulting differently, we realized that what Dima just said about clients wanting to have that kind of lifeline, like on an ongoing basis. But in addition to that, you're going to say, all right, well, why did you create this? Why don't you go to Coursera or LinkedIn Learning or Udemy? Those are wonderful platforms, and they have amazing courses on them. I personally take some of the courses when I need to ramp up on something or whatever. But what we're offering is different and unique because it is curated. It's got the look and feel and vibe of the consulting lab. So it's a premium service. And it's curated, meaning that the faculty members are handpicked. It's not an open platform to everybody that wants to create courses. You have to actually qualify. And we are not looking for people. We actually seek faculty and adjunct faculty members. The partners and the senior partners of TCLi most of them are faculty, not all of them. Most of them are faculty members. They're delivering the 200 plus years of professional battle experience that we have. We're bringing it to fruition through courses on the academy. But we've also went out and sought adjunct faculty members that are experts in their field, and we invited them to join as an adjunct faculty. And I think in addition to the part, I'm just giving you kind of the features, the attributes of why this is disruptive. The other thing that's disruptive about the platform shares the revenue, shares the profit with the faculty members. This is interesting for you to know because you're going to realize that faculty members' hearts are in it because they're not getting paid a fixed fee. They're actually getting paid on a rolling basis. It's almost a 50% partnership with TCLi, where the adjunct faculty members will get 50% of the profits. So it's I want to call it like a movement, but it's almost like we're envisioning as we move forward is creating a legacy that's going to outlive us and give birth to something that gets a life on its own, because it's going to be cared for by some people that are it's a much bigger thing than TCLi, and we're proud and honored to be the kind of the impetus and the catalyst for the creation of this platform. But we want this now to kind of expand and grow exponentially.
Yeah. The other one I want to add is, because you brought up, Coursera or any of the others. The one thing that I struggled with any learning platform is that you watch a course, you go through a course, and you have all these questions. Our premise is that you have this interaction with the faculty. So you have a question, you can set up office hours, you can meet with the faculty. It's not a one way. It is a
Yeah.
two-way where there's going to be interaction and engagement
It's a great
between
point.
the
Great point.
the
Yeah.
learner and the faculty. So think about it, you know, if you are doing an implementation and you just have few questions, you don't necessarily need to hire a consultant. You can get on a call week after week with any of the faculty members, and they can give you advice, they can give you ideas to think about it. So we're calling it office hours, but it is time for you for the learner, dedicated, that they can have one-on-one with that faculty member specifically about certain points within their course.
So
or outside of the course.
Thank you for that, Dima, because I think if you look at we're describing why is this different, what's unique about it, you're beginning now to get the attributes and the features that are making this different. It's not a Coursera, it's not LinkedIn Learning. This is curated, this is a premium service. Not to say that Coursera is not a premium service, I'm just saying that these are the brand values of TCLi Academy. And we are very vigilant in protecting this to make sure that our clients and our future clients, let's say, are going to benefit the most out of this, because we are obsessing over all the details in the academy and the experience to make sure that they get the most out of this. You've got the courses that describe the scaffolded model, behavioral change, then business acumen change, and then AI skills. We don't lead with AI. We have a lot of AI competency, but that's not really, and until today, with all of this hot air about AI and a lot of the marketing about AI, if you look at more than 80% of companies are still not doing anything like meaningful with AI. The reason for that is we say, because we don't have a proper business acumen and understanding, and because we don't not changing our behavior and our attitude towards automation and AI. That's why that knock-on effect is creating 80% of people that are not using organizations that are not using AI, 15% struggling, and maybe only 5% are actually really doing something meaningful with AI. Yeah. Is there anything else that we should cover?
No, we're talking about the features. So the office hours, the courses, the engagement, and so on.
Correct. Now, interestingly, and it's great that we're having this discussion with Dima, because we were just here earlier today in our office, and we're going through kind of the next release of the platform. So we've released MVP1. We have about 50 members on it. And we're getting ready we're iterating on this, and MVP2, we're targeting somewhere end of August, so end of this August 2025.
Right.
And we've identified already certain things. We got the feedback, because, entrepreneurship is an experiment, right? So we've got feedback, and we recognize that we need to actually create different categories for, we call them Voyagers. So if you look at the academy, visit TCLiacademy.com. We'll have it in the description. There's two different really tiers. There's the free tier, free forever, which is Observer. You're more than welcome. We invite anybody to come in and have a free forever membership. You can take the courses that, of course, are abbreviated. You can participate in a lot of the events in the communities, but the Voyagers are the people that decide to jump in the pool, and they're the ones that actually are willing to step up to the plate, put their feet to the fire, and say, I want to actually learn how to do this transformation, like how to learn about transformation correctly. So what we've realized, that Voyagers are also in of themselves have different preferences and desires and needs and that type of thing. We were grouping startup founders with enterprise customers, and what we've realized is that startup founders don't care about a lot of the things that enterprises care about, because they're too small and they're just trying to get things off the ground, versus an enterprise that's got 1,000 people or 500 people. They've got different types of problems, which is cultural alignment and this and that. A startup founder of 2 people is not going to do a cultural assessment, for example.
Exactly.
So that learning has kind of led us to say, all right, you know what, you need to actually thread the Voyagers, and have a community for enterprise, have a community for startups. And we've been engaged by some of our partners, some of our clients, nonprofits that we're doing work for, want to build their own academies. And they've approached us to build their academy on top of TCLi, so that as a part of us giving back to the community, right? As a part of our social responsibility, we are not going to charge them commercial rates. We're going to charge them like basic, cost. to be able to enable them to build an academy that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to actually stand up. And they can do it for a fraction of the cost by partnering with TCLi and bringing their community online.
And
So,
for those communities, it's very specific, right? So working with, depending on the nonprofit, depending on the organization that's trying to kind of build their academy on top of TCLi, we'll work closely with them to say what are the needs of their people, what are the needs of their individuals and then customers, and then build an academy that's truly tailored to them.
That's right.
So that way, when you go to a learning platform, you're getting exactly what you need, as opposed to a lot of noise and then just maybe one course that's directly for you.
So with that being said, we're looking at, for MVP2, we're looking at the creation of multiple different, let's say, I guess, tiers within Voyagers. Really not to limit access or anything, to the contrary, to actually curate the track so that a startup founder is not getting confused with courses that are being offered in enterprise, like change management, culture management. Again, they don't care, right? At that moment, they don't care about that particular topic. So it becomes more of a curated learning back to the brand promise and the value that TCLi Academy wants to drive with our customers, very specific, targeted training to help them with the business problems that they are currently facing.
And that helps me and the faculty really focus our attention, right? So if we just keep it kind of open Voyager for everyone, we may all kind of lean towards doing enterprise courses.
Correct.
But by creating those tracks, we're able to really focus on what are the needs of the individuals within that track. Let's make sure that we have enough learning opportunities. We have enough, faculty that focuses in that area. So it's definitely a way for me to focus more with working with the faculty.
I think you can. But one of the things that we're planning to do, actually, this just came to mind.
Yeah.
We already have a list of all the faculty members on our website, but as we prepare for MVP2, we're going to actually show the profiles of all the enterprise faculty members, as well as all of the startup members, because the adjunct faculty that was invited for the startup track are all people with startup experience. I'm one of the, one of the few faculty members that actually straddle both the enterprise track and the startup track, just by the fact of my background. But you have startup founders helping you in the startup track. It's not theory. It's actually people that have done 1, 2, 3, 4 or more startups, and they're telling you and instructing you on how to get this thing off the ground. I just finished the course on business idea validation with first principles. How do you make sure this is a good idea? Did a friend of yours tell you? Did your mother say it's a good idea? Or did you actually validate it with real customers that are going to be paying for the service or the product? So that is one course, for example, for startup track. May not be applicable for enterprise track, for example. So we are, as a part of MVP2, we're creating these kind of tiered or tracks within there are different Voyager tracks that you will be able to select which one you want, and a community will be organized around it. Second important thing is that we're elevating the level of engagement with the community. We want to enable Voyagers to create their own topics and their own threaded discussions, and geek out over a certain topics that they think is important, and find other Voyagers that want to talk about that topic. And we want to create more democracy in the way that the conversation is being had, right? Of course, it'll be moderated. We're going to have rules. There's going to be moderators that are not necessarily going to be TCLi. As we move forward, we're going to be incentivizing leadership within the community, and the incentives could be financial, could be non-financial. We'll figure that out, but we'll actually get the community to moderate the community and make sure that's in accordance with the rules, so that we can create leverage and scale.
And from a learning and development, the best learning is through interaction, through engagement, through finding these case studies. So we may not necessarily have all of these, but our community, as it grows, you'll end up with lots of experience within the people that are within the members of those different communities that can help teach each other and help build those kind of cases, that certain unique cases that we may not necessarily have met with, but someone else in the community have seen. So I think it's very critical for any kind of learning environment, is to be able to make it, again, two-way, not lecture style,
Yeah.
and get that engagement among the participants. Think about how many times you're in class, you're in actual class, and the professor, the teacher is saying something, and you're like, I know, this happened to me, right? So you're always thinking, I want to share my experience. This is a way for our learners to share their experience.
I love that. Anything else for MVP2?
I don't know if you're going to get into Navi.
Oh, yeah. So one of the projects that have been under wraps is we're not going to talk much about it because
it's
high
level.
Similar to Apple, we're not going to be releasing too much information at a time. But we're patenting our methodology called Compass. You can see celestial navigation as a theme just because it goes well with transformation, rough seas, lots of change, waves. And we're using that analogy because it's easier for people to relate to analogies than to speak in theoretical terms. Navi is our AI. And as I said, I'm not going to say much about it. But
more to come.
more to come. However, Compass is going to be a product. It's going to be a digital product that is under R&D at TCLi. So this is consulting lab, proper, the actual advisory firm, and we'll be releasing a first MVP of that at the end of this month, at the end of August. Will be MVP1, and it will be an expression of the methodology. We're not reinventing the wheel. We're actually leveraging and referencing things like Harvard Business School, Kaplan Norton Balanced Scorecard for strategy development, strategy maps, everything that's associated with strategy development, referencing things like TOGAF for architecture, ISO 56000 for innovation, ProSci for change management, and on and on and on. However, where you have cracks as in the overall end-to-end transformation method from a methodology standpoint, the partners will fill in the gap. So we'll give Goop that fills that gap so that you have a complete full story. That's Compass.
Is that a technical term? Goop?
Yeah. Goop is a highly technical term.
Got it. I'll be using it.
The other one is sludge and slush based on the circumstance. So Compass, as it gets patented towards the actual method and framework, and it's going to be the sequencing of steps that are required to execute, from our perspective at least, in our experience, to execute a transformation successfully, is going to be made available into an app with a knowledge tree that you can actually browse through and drill down into the different branches. And the experts that are contributing to the development of Compass will provide tools, will provide diagrams, illustrations, and they're going to be boots on the ground experience, not theory. I'll tell you this just tell you a quick story from practical experience. When I was trying to develop a strategy map based on Kaplan Norton's methodology, I read the 4 books: the strategy map, it was the something organization, the strategy focused organization, strategy maps, Office of Strategy. There's like 4 or 5 books, about 2,000-3,000 pages, but there was nothing to tell me actually how to do it. And it's like, my God, how do I do it? I mean, great. If you just told me this is the same thing with business idea validation. Everybody talks about first principles. No one tells you how to do it. Compass will tell you how to do it. Yeah. Right?
Go ahead.
So the idea is that MVP1 will be released at the end of August. It's going to be pretty expensive to actually get it. It's going to be an expensive product. I guess it's a premium service. It's going to be subscription based. However, the kicker is that community members, Voyagers, get a free license with their subscription to the academy.
That's amazing. Because you were talking about books, one more that we forgot to mention is a book club.
That's right.
So as part of the community, we're really looking at, again, but the best learning is through discussion, through learning from each other. A lot of times we say these are great books to read, but people don't always get a chance to, even if they read them, to elaborate and discuss.
And
so we're just
them, right?
bringing in the whole concept of a book club into the academy as well. So we'll have some threaded discussions around.
We're thinking this will be across observers and Voyagers, so actually everybody can take part, right?
We're in design, so I'm not going to commit. We're in design.
All right, very good. So very good.
Yeah.
Anything else comes to mind before we close?
That's it. I think it's exciting times.
It is.
I really think we're building based on input from our members.
Right.
So things are changing, but at the same time, it's just really exciting to be able to build something that we're looking at for the future.
That's right.
Yeah.
So in addition to having founding members that were a part of MVP1, we actually have an ambassadors group within the community. There are about 5 or 6 people that actually advise us on almost like a customer advisory board. They tell us this is good, this is bad, change this, we don't like this, we love this, and then all of this factors into the refactoring of our efforts and definitely the design of MVP2. So thank you very much for your time and for watching this video. Any comments, please let us know. If you have ideas on what should be included in MVP2, something that you'd like to submit, we're all ears. We're in design and going to be in like actual development and preparing for testing and rollout later on. We'd love to see if we can incorporate some of your ideas, given that they are congruent with the overall theme that we've described. Thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate your time, and we look forward to engaging with you in the community, reading your comments, and hearing about all your great success.
Thank you.